I thought this would be an interesting movie for me to talk about because everybody thinks they're being trafficked on social media nowadays. The most recent one I saw was people on TikTok claiming that if someone zip ties a shopping cart to your car, they're trying to traffic you. Turns out it was just one guy who was mad because his truck was too big to fit in a spot. Like, the lady who parked next to him parked fine, but she didn't leave enough space for his truck, so she got a shopping cart zip tied to her car, which it's not funny, like you should never do that, but it's kind of funny. Anyway, the internet only heard the beginning of this story, and oh shit, it gets added to the list of million reasons as to how traffickers get you. So much of trafficking is mixed up in these myths. If you went by what the internet thought, you'd think 1 in every 10 girls are getting kidnapped in broad daylight in the Walmart parking lot. Look, it's good to be cautious, but it's kind of like looking up and down before you cross the street. You gotta be looking out for the right things. And that's what this movie is today. It's one of these trafficking scare movies. It was released last year, and it's about a young girl who gets kidnapped and sold into sex slavery. Merry Christmas. I know, why can't I just do normal movies like a normal person? I feel like you can only make so many movies about a pretty young white girl moving to a small town before you go insane and do sex trafficking movies. I know this is a very serious topic, and I was thinking, like, should I do this? Because it's going to be insensitive, but this movie is insensitive. They make it into this, like, semi-comedy action movie, and the scenes are just so hilariously bad that it seems like they're making a joke of it, so yeah. It's not me, it's them. That's my argument. In the first scene, we see a bunch of heavily armored people breaking down someone's door to get into their house. Why?
You stole a dog.
Uh-huh. These heavily armored guys are private investigators, and they're here because, well, they stole a dog, so they have to get it back. They're not here because of the dog fighting or the slave women. I don't know what that's about. They're just here because some rich guy called and said that his dog was stolen. Doesn't make them seem like such big heroes, but that's how they choose to introduce them, so. Anyway, they beat up this guy to prove that they're strong, even though they're wearing like body armor, and this guy's like out of shape and half asleep. But this is them, our main characters. We get introduced to a nice, young girl who's obviously not gonna get kidnapped. They made her a horse girl, cause it wouldn't be sad if she was just a regular child and she got kidnapped. She has to love animals and shit. I'd like to see for once in these movies some dumb loser kid getting kidnapped. Like, he's gone for a week and nobody notices. Everybody's in a better mood and they don't know why. Also, I thought this guy was gonna be the one that kidnaps her, and I made that assumption based completely off of his face and his voice.
Keep it balanced. Very good, very good. Great job, Allison.
And I feel bad because no, he's not the one who does it. And yes, I'm spoiling it a little. She gets kidnapped. It happens in like the first 2 seconds, so that's why it doesn't matter. Anyway, though, it's her birthday, and she invites her friends over to watch her ride a horse around in a small circle. It's pretty lit. Now we get introduced to the PIs from earlier. All you really need to know is John, the main guy. There are like 5 or 6 other PIs, and they're all like pretty established characters with personalities, except this guy. You'll see this guy, don't worry. And I don't know why they did this, because this is a movie about a girl getting trafficked and her family having to deal with it. And then we have like this funny, cool group of PIs. I don't know what they were trying to do.
Oh, that's hysterical. You must be the funniest guy in your GED program.
Boy, I'm educated in all kind of stuff that you...
Allison has a boyfriend.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
She's talking to a boy named Tyler online, and he convinces her that same night that they should meet up.
Hey, beautiful. I thought you'd never be online.
So he picks her up, and they're driving around, and she's super happy, even though she doesn't know where she's going. And kidnap. Just like that. See, I told you it was quick.
Please.
They really told him to stand there and look evil. Apparently, this is one of the big controversies of this movie, that the traffickers are black. And honestly, I don't think there'd be anything wrong with that, but the problem is that they lean into the stereotypes really hard. They want the girls to call them daddy, and they feed them pills, which is like medication to put them to sleep. They're also from Detroit, and they're very stereotypically gangster. So I can see why people would criticize this for having black pimps, but I don't think the issue is that they're black. I think the issue is that they're like 70s cartoon pimps. This is what my mom would think pimps are like. You know what I mean? I just find it weird that they choose this image for pimps instead of making it scarier, because it actually is scarier. But they decide to go with this, and I can't imagine anyone not laughing at this. It's hilarious.
Shut up. Y'all hoes get back in your cages.
The hoes do concede and get back in their cages. But look at this. These cages are for dogs for a reason. It's because they're too stupid to open it. This girl's looking directly at the lock. She can just stick her fingers through it. Oh my god, this movie. I know you can't easily escape because the guys are upstairs or wherever they might be, but you'd think they'd at least try. You might be like, yeah, okay, they're trafficked, so they're not gonna go anywhere. They're traumatized, but this is Allison's first day here. Her sister finds out she isn't home and is extremely worried. And her parents say, oh, she must have just snuck out to go to the mall with her friends before school. Because it's teenagers who like to walk around in the mall at 6 a.m. before school.
This is muy weird. She hasn't texted me all day.
Oh my god. Allison is missing for the whole day, so her parents start to get worried. When the cops get there, they're like, you know what? We're not even gonna try. Like, just call us back in 48 hours. 48. Not tomorrow, not 24 hours, literally 2 days. I like how these cops still came over. They still drank their coffee and is like drawn a penis or something. And they're asking a million questions knowing they're not gonna do anything. They could have just said this over the phone. But bro, what I don't get is it's a missing blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl. Isn't this when you're supposed to send out the fucking SR-71 Blackbird? The pimp allows Allison and all the other girls to call their family, and he threatens the main character with her sister's safety. It makes sense why she wouldn't escape now, but they showed the dog cages already, like, it's kinda late. They decide to call the PIs, but they introduce them so weirdly. The husband says, I found some PIs, and I found them through my friend Kessler. And then the mom's like, oh my god, he's a loser, he smokes weed and plays poker. And they argue about this off-screen man who never shows up in the movie.
He's a loser.
He's actually quite successful.
He's a professional poker player and he sells weed. He's one of those guys with a 22-year-old bimbo girlfriend.
And then they hire those PIs anyway. The hacker guy is eating Allison's birthday cake. They find out that they have to pay them $20,000 a week, which they could have done 2 minutes of research and found out how much PIs cost, because that's not it. That's $360 an hour. I don't think there's anything that costs that much, like, period, in the whole world. Since they can't afford it, the grandma offers to use her savings, which, oh no, grandma, why would you do that? You were gonna do so much stuff with that money for the next 2 years that you have left.
Well, did you enjoy church today, baby?
It was cool.
You take me to church?
It ain't no thing.
The Lord was good giving me a grandchild like you.
What a good guy, huh? The moral here, I guess, is that he traffics kids, but he uses the money to fund his grandma. So it all balances out to neutral. I don't know why they didn't introduce him like this. Like, we already know he has a kid dungeon.
Oh, no, child. I can't take no money from you.
I'll see you next week. Go on in there now.
Bye.
Oh, not too much protest there. The PIs start going out and talking to people who they look like, I guess. And whoa, aren't you cold? You really gotta file a complaint with your employer.
You gotta tell me what you want, man. White girl, about 16. Man, she cute though. See that? She old, bro. Yeah. See that? Nice. Yeah, she banging, man. She a hoe?
I don't know if this is working. And then there's this guy who doesn't look like a high schooler, but he has to go to high school and talk to girls. The guy's like 6'5". He's dressed like he creeps on high school girls. He's clearly not in high school. They don't acknowledge that it's creepy. Instead, this is the issue.
That's why the city employs a police department. We don't need wannabes scaring the children.
Wannabe?
Other than the fact that he said that really fucking weird, this is his whole character arc. His job is to go to a school, he gets kicked out of that school, and then I think he's in one more scene after that, but that's pretty much it for this guy. Best character.
One of my regular snitches. He says he's seen the girl, blonde girl, white, suburban, stranger. She's been wandering out the house a lot. That's our girl.
White, blonde, suburban? Leaves the house sometimes? I don't know who else that could be.
That's our girl. We only about a mile away.
Let's roll. It wasn't her.
I've never seen a movie set up something so obviously not gonna work and then not make a twist. The girl wasn't even a trafficking victim that they found. It was literally just a blonde girl who happened to be outside. What we know about the PIs so far is that they break into people's houses, they're unprofessional, this Kessler guy is friends with them, and they charge a lot. And now we know that they're just like stupid or something.
I bet you ain't know Detroit had some nice neighborhoods, did you? Big houses, built back when the auto industry was booming. Henry Ford himself lived about 2 blocks from here. Bet you didn't know I knew my history, did you?
Now you're telling me on top of his other good deeds, he's passionate about history? This guy's going to heaven. That girl gets saved by a Christian group, and I just want you to see Pastor Brown's reveal, honestly. Look at this. Why did they film that so epic? It looks like Game of Thrones or some shit. I mean, I've never seen Game of Thrones, but that's how I imagine it. This is like the turning point of the movie. It's actually a decent scene until this happens.
What do we do?
I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna get his face on video.
Good way to get yourself shot, sir.
I've lived a long life, son. If it's the Lord's will for me to die tonight, then I'll trust his will.
Yeah, but why though? The guy Pastor Brown is talking to offers to back him up with a gun he has, which I know Detroit is bad, but even the devout Christians are strapped. Anyway, when people usually say some shit like, if it's God's plan for me to die tonight, then that means it's my time. It's never for something cool or necessary even, it's just because they're about to do something really stupid. And you might be thinking he could just call the police, and then he wouldn't have to walk outside unarmed and die potentially. And you'd be right. Like, I don't know, this is a stupid ass movie. I don't know what you want me to say. So he goes out there with no protection, but he manages to get the license plate, get the pimp's face, and scare him off, which saves the girl.
If I ever see you in my neighborhood again, I'm gonna forget I'm a pastor.
Okay, that's pretty good. Apparently this movie has a large Christian audience, and I didn't understand why. This is the only Christian scene in the whole movie that's significant, at least. And it doesn't preach to you at all. A lot of Christians come to my earlier videos on like Christian movies and tell me that, you know, I need to be saved or whatever. But look at this, I'm saying the Christian part of this movie is the best part. This means that they finally get a lead, and it was nothing that they did themselves. They should have just hired Pastor Brown. Since Pastor Brown saw the pimp's car, he has to switch it out, so he swaps it out with a red Cadillac. You're a pimp. You might as well get this to disguise yourself in. But just like that, the PIs are completely thrown off by this move. Pastor Brown literally risked his life by taking that video of the pimp's face and his license plate, and since these guys are not real cops, they can't do anything with that. I don't know what this movie is trying to make us think about these private investigators. It seemed like in the beginning, oh, these are like some sick, capable people who can do anything, you know, computer hacker and shit like that. At this point, nobody has done anything. Like, I laugh at the guy who went to the high school and got kicked out, but they all equally suck.
The neighborhood? Well, there's a dog park, and there's a corner store, too. Oh, but they call it that because there's one on every corner.
They go to the house, but they find that the Cadillac is red, so there's a chance it could be the wrong pimp. You know, still a pimp, but just not the one they're looking for. They say that it's a risk because if we raid the wrong house, then they're gonna move Allison. By the way, this is after they raided a house because a blonde girl lived there.
Case, it's your daughter. You gotta make the call.
What? Why is he here? What did they think he was gonna say? Nah, it's probably not that house. Obviously, the dad says to kick the door down. But, they let the dad come and just be in the front line with them. Imagine if they got the daughter back, but the dad is just dead now for no reason. You're paying them $20,000 a month. They should find your daughter and raise her to completion. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it meant when I wrote it. Oh, look who it is. Anyway, we have to make sure to know that they're super cool. You know you're saving a little girl from sex trafficking, right? You're not supposed to look sick while you do it. They break the door down and they all just bum rush in. No plan. No one goes around the back. and they just start shooting. It's like all out war. The dad doesn't even make it through the door and he gets shot immediately. All of that happens just so the dad can go around the back of the house and stare into the daughter's pimp's eyes. This part is weird because it's like they want me to feel sympathy for him or something. Like, yeah, he has the guy's daughter chained up in his basement, but sometimes he does some good things, you know? But no, it's just so the dad can look cool when he shoots the guy. That was the point of this whole scene. And they finally reunite with their daughter in the hospital, and it just kind of ends. They show these statistics, and then they show Tyler capturing another teenage girl. Overall, this is a story about these private investigators, this family, and somewhat these pimps. I found it funny that everyone in this movie is a stereotype. The pimps are like cartoon characters designed to scare my grandma, because I can't imagine anyone finding this scary. The male PIs are just gruff, big dudes who share one brain cell with each other. Allison, I don't even know. I don't remember anything about her. And the only two older black women in the movie have one personality trait, and it's that they like to go to church, which I don't even know how that started. That's like the weirdest stereotype. I'm actually very curious as to how that became a thing. Honestly, this movie should have just been marketed as like a PI movie, but no. You know why they didn't do that? Because scaring people makes money. This is playing on an extremely primal fear that everybody has. If you're a parent, the thing you fear the most is something happening to your child. I guess, like, I'm not a parent. My biggest fear is spider crawling into my dick. But I feel like these types of movies are detrimental. They play off of moral panic and spread misinformation about human trafficking, like I was talking about in the beginning. So I wanted to talk about actual human trafficking. And first of all, human trafficking is a real big thing, and these statistics might even be underselling it. We don't really know because it's like an underground hidden thing. The way it's portrayed in the movie is this very PG way of showing it.
First day of school, white girl.
Yet it's obviously worse than this, but it doesn't happen like this. If you do 5 minutes of research, you'll find that there's very little evidence showing that random kidnappings lead to trafficking, especially sex trafficking. This myth is so popular that recently people think zip ties, Apple AirTags, text messages, and shopping carts are human trafficking. You might be like, well, isn't it still good that these people are cautious? Like I said before, actually a better analogy would be like wearing a helmet to cross a street that's closed. Yeah, I guess you are technically safer, but realistically, you're not in danger to begin with. And if you were in danger, that helmet is not going to save you. And you're also going to look really weird. This is why I don't do analogies. There are so many articles written about Apple AirTags and how they can be dangerous and how they're placed on people in this model or whatever. None of these have ever led to anything. Also, Apple AirTags notify your phone and beep when you're traveling with them. You might as well put this on a girl's car that you're trying to track. You should still be cautious in this scenario and report it to the police, but just be glad that whoever is trying to track you is dumb enough to use a GPS that tells you it's tracking you. Human traffickers are looking for people they can exploit, people with no money, no connections. A lot of these victims are actually US citizens, so that part isn't inaccurate. But these people are usually underage and they ran away from home for various reasons. Many times, trafficking victims in all countries don't want to leave their traffickers because they feel that they would be deported or go to jail or interrogated or live in a shelter with even worse conditions. Basically going from one bad situation to another, so you can see why they wouldn't want to leave. The obvious solution here would be to provide resources for these people, incentivizing them to flee or seek out these shelters before relying on a dangerous person. Or at the least spreading awareness about these foundations that provide these things so that more resources can be put towards them. Not fucking zip ties. And now back to the movie. I think it's real hilarious how the movie decides to solve the issue too. Allison was found because her parents spent like $100,000 to make this happen. What if Allison was some poor girl who didn't know anybody or her parents didn't care about her? Yeah, that's like what 99% of human trafficking is. Yet for some reason people make movies like this. And I mean, make a movie about whatever you want. You know, maybe they wanted to tell this story, but don't put this statistic at the end and show like another girl like Allison getting kidnapped and make it seem like that's the actual issue of human trafficking. And then the Christian group, you could have made this entire movie about that Christian group. Imagine a movie like that. They have no monetary incentive. They managed to scare the pimp off and they save the girl. And he captured the pimp's license plate. In that, like, 5 minutes in that movie, he did way more than the PIs did. But nope, it's about how far a suburban family will go to save their daughter, and the answer is like 2 months and $100,000. Not a very inspiring message. And there it is, Trafficked. Now it's time to cry to the subs. Someone pointed out in the comments how I always do this at the end of my videos, and no, yeah, I do. But it took me 2 years this time instead of a few months like usual. Trust me, I have been reading all of your comments, and I used to reply to them, but I just started feeling guilty because I didn't want to promise anything. I didn't know when I was gonna upload. Honestly, I didn't even think I was gonna upload by now, but yeah. Your comments are so nice, and I appreciate it, and I cannot believe that, you know, I made 10, 15 videos, and there are people 2 years later still commenting on my stuff. And it's the same people I recognize from like my first video. Is it bad that I still didn't reply to any of you? It would be kind of like if your kid sent you letters in the mail for 2 years because you left him for 2 years. And then instead of replying to each individual letter, Dad, where are you? Where did you go? You just send him all his letters back in a fancy collage. Ta-da! Oh, and to LaundroMattyB, I know. They took my second glance review down. I decided to let one part of the movie play for like 30 seconds uninterrupted, so it's completely my fault. But they blocked it worldwide. They give you a choice on YouTube to cut that part out, but the video wouldn't make sense anymore without it, so, you know, I don't want to fix that part, edit it, and then like have to re-upload an old video. So I was originally gonna legit put like an email address on here, and then you email it, and I'll email you the movie back. But if I'm actually violating fair use as they claim, I don't think I'm allowed to distribute that video anymore. Also, I'm totally not violating fair use, okay? I'm not distributing the movie in any way. Like, I'm not giving it out. It's like my own thing, but they're doo-doo heads, alright? I'm sorry I have to use such foul language, but anyway, that's all I have to say about that. For my next video, I wanted to review this anime game called Persona 5. And the whole point of the video is that I'm not actually a fan of anime. And I just wanted to give my take on the game as a non-anime fan. That sounds extremely boring as I say it, but I'm gonna put a lot into it. It's not gonna be boring, so just watch it, just please. So keep on the lookout for that, and I'll still make movie reviews, of course. It's been a while since I watched a Lifetime movie. I kind of took like a necessary break from those. But it's gonna be fun to see what kind of movies they're making in 2022. Like I always say, thank you so much for watching the entire thing. I'm sorry I took 2 years to upload. For my 2023 New Year's resolution, I plan on not doing that. So yeah, I hope I catch you again soon. Heh.